Web 2 for me, it's the optimization of the experience, in my eyes. You know, in the sense that I click on something, you get a really nice screen, the screen doesn't refresh, but the element refreshes. That's what it is to me.
And if I now put my company hat on, it's about having a website that's not telling people who we are, but about asking people what we should be, asking people what they think, asking them to help contribute on the basis that we're a relatively small company. We like to think we know what we're doing, but equally there are 60 million people in the UK who don't yet work for our company. And between them, they've got some good ideas about what we can do better as well. And how bluntly, commercially, how do I harness all the good ideas that all our customers have using technology to do it?
It's about the fact that you can actually take part in the website and take part in the content and the creation of a conversation. Where Web 1.0 was very much the billboard high street web, where you found the adverts and you found the content and you got the billboard and the forums. Where Web 2.0 is it's a far more sort of sudden or interactive experience. And there is a lot of things that are Web 2.0 that are actually Web 1.0. And to a certain extent, Twitter is just, you know, a very clever microforum. You know, it's a forum of one person with everybody's threads behind it. But it's gaining, to a certain extent, the Web 2.0 cachet because of the APIs, because of the programming interfaces into it that let you come out of it. So people can come along and they can say, okay, I really like Twitter, but I also want to know where people are twittering from. So I'm going to take a Google map and I'm going to apply it to Twitter, and suddenly we've got Twitter Vision, where people are able to post information and we see where they're posting it from. However, we're representing conversations that are relevant to where we are. In exactly the same way on my street, when we're concerned about the trees on my street, the conversations for us is only relevant about the trees in our street, and it's not a care to anybody else anywhere else. So,
since the trees reduce pollution.
Well, yeah, but that's a conversation that goes off in a different thread. But then that's kind of the point about good networks of social networks.
I mean, the thing about niche casting and sort of these little tiny conversations you have on something like Twitter is that they're all about, you know, talking about your say Facebook network. It's all about I'm only interested in what's happening in my street or in London. But of course, these conversations also have a wider broadcast as well. And the thing about the problem with Web 2.0 is most of the applications aren't actually that good. I mean, things like Facebook, the applications you have on Facebook are not that interesting. They're not that engaging. They don't do anything.
It's taking loads of stuff that was in Web 1.0 and making it easier and making it slightly simpler and slightly more mass market. For example, you know, people have this notion that discussions are somehow Web 2.0. Well, I was on internet forums and BBSs, you know, 10 years ago. You know, that is a web. That is just a concept. Web 2.0 discussion is about making it easier, making it simpler. You know, simple things like Facebook that enable you to talk to people that you want. Now, you have to differentiate that from the fact that 90% of everything is crap. So it's easy to say that, you know, Web 2 applications are, you know, most of them are crap. Well, yeah, most of the web is crap. But Web 2.0, you know, the 10% that's good is good in a different way. And so there is definitely something different. It's more of a mindset, and it's more of a making things easier, making things more social, making things more widely applicable. You know, taking a web forum that only computer geeks are going to bother to log into and refresh, and turning it into Facebook, which is the most popular social, you know, platform on, you know, the web probably.
It's no longer just about the technology. When people started doing website design 10, 15 years ago, it used to be about the latest technique. You know, even if it was a scrolling marquee across the screen. You know, and people concentrate. Designers are like, oh, we can push this out. You know, we'll sell this. Now they've realised that if people are going to use these sites, and get away from television and be on there for hours and hours on end, it's got to be simple.
It's just one person talking at you, or one media talking at you, as opposed to you engaging with it and helping to shape where it's going.
The interactive sites were there, and they just weren't marketing that way. I don't know.
Forums out there, but the majority of internet users would just browse. The majority of internet users who went to forums would be, the word lurkers came into use, and on a typical forum there'd be a small number of people who were contributing. And the point about Web 2 is we're saying that actually some of now the biggest websites in the world are inherently interactive, are inherently lots of small niches clumped together. On Facebook there is a small niche about Mark Harrison.
You know, I spend a lot of time by myself.
Yeah, right.
In an office or studio, but actually in my own space. And it's great to be able to look up a Twitter and say, and it's like going to the water cooler to get kind of 4 or 5 people's point of view and then go back into the madness again. So
yes, but at the water cooler, I mean, I worked for many years in big companies. The water cooler, I wasn't going to get 5 or 6 people's conversation. I was there to have a discussion with 5 or 6 people who I knew, who I worked with, who I had good relationships with. And this whole thing about I have met people through the whole how did you meet? We hooked up randomly on Facebook. In some ways, I think
That's very geeky.
the whole kids walking down the street 50 yards apart, texting each other back and forth outside the city schools, rather than running to catch up and talk the way that I did when we were at school.
Do we work in offices where people send emails to each other between walls? You know, and I just want to go in with an axe and say, there's the hole in the wall, you know, talk to each other. And I've done it.
There's certain people I follow on Twitter, and I feel like saying, look, no one cares, you've gone to the toilet.
When I put something on Twitter, I don't necessarily have any thought about constructing it for people. It's just a dump for me. It's a dumping zone. Why people listen to me is because they know at some point one of those posts might be interested in the future because of the project I'm connected to. So I find people like Jeff Pulver or whatever, I met him 3 times. We don't have anything particularly in common with each other, apart from that we used to have CB radios and ham radio. So I'm still connected to him because I think at some point he'll probably see a golden nugget of something that I jumped on first before anybody else. He's in a different time zone, you know, he'll say good morning, and he's at his phone. He hasn't got any other internet connection. To him, that's a connection into my world, in my time zone. And he can, most people will look at it and just throw it away. It's throwaway information, Twitter, for me. It's not a resource for facts and exactness for me.
You are socially networking around something.
I agree.
I'm going to throw out there one which people find crazy when I tell them, which was that I met my fiance on a social network. And people say, well, that's crazy, you're a real saddo, you know, how could you possibly have done that? I said, well, because I was at university, there was a social network within my university for 3rd year, you know, finals students in this 2 miles looking for, you know, to go out and party. And that was the social network. And you could go around every bar in Oxford and you probably wouldn't, you know, you might meet 10% of people in that category. But there was, you know, a group for, you know, I've got a night off from studying, come and party. And that's what we did. And there's no amount of, you know, the human interaction to have put together that group of people would have taken, you know, days of trolling on foot around college putting up flyers versus making group on the web, emailing a few people and saying, come and join us. It's really efficient.
Efficiency.
And it's bringing
But were you
efficiency.
looking for a party for the sake of looking at a party? Or were you looking for a party with other people who happen to be 3rd year physiology students or whatever it is you read?
You're just looking to relax.
And
There's a companionship amongst finalists at Oxford that isn't quite anywhere else.
So, out of interest, which college?
Keyboard.
Bacon 92.
Yeah, well, you're sad there. It's, you know, there's a camaraderie around that. And so it's the same for everything. You're not social networks for computer geeks and social networks
you hit the nail on the head
for
there.
football or whatever.
The people who are there, it's like walking into the perfect party.
Yeah.
You know, because you can walk up to somebody and not go, oh, I do computers. Oh, God, you know, awkward silence. I've got to walk away. My night's ruined. Oh, God. I should have said something to him, but I said it the wrong way. You can walk into a place with people who've got similar interests, similar passion, but be from different backgrounds of expertise and still get on.
But that's the point.
That in itself
this event
is the end
all
result.
social networking that you do, if it leads to concrete, actual experiences in the same room or place as other people with like interests, that's far more beneficial to me than all of the endless posts that I see. A lot of which I ignore most of the tweets that ever come at me because I just find it irrelevant. I mean, I like the background chatter. I like the fact that there are other human beings out there interacting in a space in front of me. But I feel that sometimes the screen is actually a barrier as well as an opportunity. It's both. You know, but when I become really engaged is when it leads to an actual event, a place. It can happen online, of course, but it's also interesting when it leads to concrete things.
Yeah.
You know, like, so we're all here via social networks, but the fact that we're here in present, actual embodied, is far more interesting than if we were all sitting thousands of miles away, sending posts and it was just a blur of traffic.